You know, one of the biggest criticisms that 2K and THQ back in the day got when it comes to wrestling games is they release them too frequently, and to be honest, I've been in that camp myself over the last few years, especially over the last sort of 5 or 6 years, and there's not really much innovation with it. It is kind of true to an extent that wrestling games shouldn't be released once every year. I agree with that philosophy because, to be honest, you know, there's not really much deviation between the games. You know, 2K16 really is very similar to 2K15, but does that necessarily mean that it's as flawed as 2K15? We're going to find out.
Oh, look at this, JR. Man, I'm telling you, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh, look out! Oh, inverted atomic drop. And also, that's a low blow, technically. Again, a no disqualification match. Referee Ken Shamrock helpless to do anything about it. Now what's the Hitman doing? Look out. Steel chair. Bret Hart bringing a steel chair in the ring. It's as legal as a wrist lock. Things are about to get ugly. Oh! Back to the leg. Austin in trouble. Oh, no. Hart's got evil intentions. This is going to be bad, JR. This is going to be real bad. Oh, look at this. This is going to be... Wait a minute. Bret Hart took too long. Stone Cold got the chair. Oh, man. The steel chair right in the spine.
So on the surface, 2K16 looks exactly like 2K15. It's when you start digging a little bit, you start to realise just how much they've improved with this iteration of the game. Now, I'm not just talking about the modes they offer. We all know that Create a Championship is back. You can now create a Diva again, and all that sort of lovely stuff, and that's fantastic. I'm on about the core gameplay, and again, on the surface, it looks like they haven't changed much, but they have. It's those little tweaks that I really appreciate personally, so let's get into that.
All of it. Ooh, wow. Complete devastation by Winters. Oh, look at that. He managed to get a shoulder up.
One thing I really love about this game is the new chain wrestling dynamic that they've added. Now, I know they had chain wrestling last year, and personally I love a bit of chain wrestling. I love loads of chain wrestling. I really appreciate it. So I really like the fact that they've added so much more to chain wrestling. It's not just lock up and use that sort of lock-picking mini-game sort of thing to try and find the weak spot, to find a reversal for your opponent, and then just sort of like have sort of 30 seconds of chain wrestling. It's not just that. There's little sort of nuances they've added to that really add to it, such as when you've got your opponent in a headlock, push them to the ropes, you know, cause either a clean break by the referee getting between the two of you, or if you're a heel, just smack him in the face. It's simple. It's genius. I love how some of the heels will get out the ring and they'll do their sort of, you know, thing, you know, psych themselves up. Kevin Owens especially will get out the ring at times and just sort of, you know, pound his head, pace up and down. He'll get himself angry, and it's these little things that really add to the element of this game that really makes it feel like an actual WWE product. I like the fact that they've kept chain wrestling. I would be very, very disappointed if they got rid of it. And not only have they kept it, they've improved on it with all these different ways I've just spoken about. You know, you can push your opponent into the corner, smack him in the face, or cause a clean break. Another thing you can do when you push them into the ropes, whip them off, duck under, go for a hip toss. Most times they'll block it, pop over, hit you with a hip toss. It's great. They've really worked it in really well, and honestly, I really commend 2K for that. Some of the downsides to the gameplay, it is a bit clunky. I would admit that. I personally like the reversal system. A lot of people dislike it. I think it's relatively easy. I find that a lot of people who aren't really used to it haven't played wrestling games in a number of years, and yeah, the sort of reversal system has changed a lot. But it's generally the same as it was in 2K15, so I'm kind of used to it because I played that game up until I sold it about 2 months ago. So yeah, the reversal system I'm kind of used to. Sometimes I miss it, sometimes I get it, but I haven't really been having that many problems with it. One thing I really hate, the lockpicking minigame for submissions. It's way too easy to tap out to a regular hold, and I'm not just saying that because I'm shit at it, even though, if I'm being honest, yeah, I'm shit at it. I will admit that. But I don't like it. It shouldn't be that easy to tap out. It's really confusing. It feels like it's inverted controls when the slider's moving around. It feels like it's inverted, and it's very easy to kind of lose control of it and stay in their opponent's meter for too long to force a tap out. I don't like it. I don't see what was the problem with the last system. Honestly, I think we could do without it, or if they do want to bring it back for 2K17, please improve it, because it's way too easy to fall into that trap of tapping out. I really regret submission holds in this game. Now, speaking of submission holds as well, I don't know whether it's just me, but I can't seem to lock in a breaking point submission unless it's a signature or a finishing move, because holding down X now leads to some sort of grapple or strike, and it's confusing me, because maybe it's because I haven't learned to look at the controls yet, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just being a bit sort of blonde or derpy or whatever, but I can't seem to lock in a breaking point submission hold, just a regular sort of submission move that isn't a submission, isn't a signature or a finisher, and I don't know whether that's just me, but that's causing me some real problems.
Whoa, wait a minute, what's he coming out for? So much has happened already. We haven't even had a match yet. Whoa, that came out of nowhere. You know what's going to happen now, Cole? I sure as heck don't. Oh, the referee needs to get control of this. I don't think that's possible. And
moving on from gameplay, we've got the modes, and generally Universe mode is pretty much the same as it was last year. You've got Create a Show now, where you can actually create. It's just sort of a generic sort of thing where you can pick your arena, the name of the show, the cities it takes place in. You know, create arenas. Obviously, you can throw in there. You can import logos into the game using 2K's website and have that as the logo of your show, so you can actually have an Impact Wrestling or a Ring of Honor or whatever else actually in your game. And I think that's pretty good. That's a nice little feature. It doesn't really add much to the game, but if you are big on creating your own show in Universe mode, this is definitely something you're going to appreciate. And I like the fact that 2K have put it in there. Create Championship is back, and honestly, it's kind of simple, easy, a bit disappointing. I was hoping for a bit more. It's still annoying that when you create a championship name, you can't put the entire name. When someone comes to the ring, if you want to say create the Divas Tag Team Championship, you don't have enough characters to write Divas Tag Team Championship. And when the champions make their entrance, you've got to put something like D Tag Team Title or something like that, because they only give you like 16 characters. That includes spaces. So that's definitely something that needs to be worked on, because if there's enough letters on the actual sort of name bar and the entrances for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, I should be able to create the WWE Divas Tag Team Championship without any kind of problem. And you know, that's something that's plagued Create a Championship for years, even back when we had it before. So that definitely needs improving. When it comes to creating a wrestler, I like the fact that creating a Diva's back. That's something I definitely missed last year, because some of my favourite characters I have are Divas, and I like creating them. I like building on them. I'm glad that I can see them back. It was kind of annoying not being able to make them last year. When it comes to core parts, they've kind of added a lot more than there was last year, which is understandable because they had to re-render everything for the current gen, because obviously the layers in 2K14 looks very different to 2K15 if you had one on the PS3 and the other on PS4. So they did have to re-render everything, so I gave them a pass on that last year. Honestly, I wouldn't really have an excuse for them if they kind of slumped on that this year, but they didn't. They kind of added a load more things. Hopefully it's just the tip of the iceberg and they add hundreds of more things next year, because while I am happy with what we got for Create Wrestler parts, there's still not really enough. It's kind of annoying as well, because when you edit a superstar, if you try and put the mask on Kane, you can't give him the long hair for some strange unknown reason. You have to have short-haired Kane with the mask, and it's kind of annoying because that Kane attire isn't even in the game, and you can't even create it unless you actually create a new wrestler. You can't have that as an alternate attire and edit the actual Kane that's in game. Don't like that either. So yeah, it's kind of limiting in that sort of respect. There's a created wrestler I like to make who's got a mask, and in the old games I used to give him a mask, the long hair, and sort of a Hannibal Lecter thing over the face that kind of completed the look. He doesn't look right without that Hannibal Lecter thing, you know, done black. So I don't like the fact that you can't have other facial parts over a mask, because most of the things in other, well, they can go with a mask. If I wore a mask, I could definitely wear most of the stuff that's in other. So that also doesn't make sense. So 2K, please sort that for next year as well. On top of all of that, I've got no real problems with it. I've got no real problems with Create a Wrestler. except for the fact that Birmingham, England is still not one of the options in Creator Wrestler, so fuck you 2K. We're the second city of the UK, we deserve to be in Creator Wrestler mode. Just saying. You've got us in Creator Show, just not in Creator bloody Wrestler, so sort that out. Also, speaking of that as well, speaking of things that are just UK problems, I hated the fact that I had to keep using the conversion for creating my wrestler. I didn't like having to use it in fucking centimeters and kilograms. I don't use the metric system. Most people in this country don't use the metric system, so thank fuck it's gone back to feet and inches. Thank you 2K. Yes! I don't have to use a conversion for the first time in about 7 years to create a wrestler. That's great. So yeah, create a wrestler, better than ever. Create an entrance, still lacking. I still don't bother with it because of the fact that, and again, this is not 2K's fault, you still can't use your own music on the entrances. That's Sony's fault, that's Microsoft's fault. I don't see why it's not on the PC version, which I assume it won't be on the PC version because it wasn't in the 2K15 PC version since you've actually got music on PC. So yeah, I guess you can kind of knock them for that. But yeah, I can kind of understand why it's not on current gen consoles. Again, with Spotify on PS4 and the PS4 are now able to read music off of USB pens. Really, there's no real excuse for it. There should be something they can do with that, even if it's using a cloud server or what. Personally, without that and the very, very recycled music that they've had for the last 3 years, it's not really worth using Create an Entrance at all, because you can't even modify the entrance to however you want it. So yeah, that's kind of a pointless, task. Create an entrance, don't even bother with it. When it comes to MyCareer mode, they've kind of improved it, but it's still not quite there. It's still very confusing. I mean, I became the #1 contender for the NXT Championship 2 months ago in MyCareer mode, and I have yet to see a championship match. I'm currently on NXT Arrival. I've got a match against Kevin Owens, who is the NXT champion, and it's not even a title match. Work that one out. Renee Young, she looks horrifying.
Welcome back to the show.
I didn't realise I was playing a horror game. Apparently I am. 2K, most of the character models look spot on. Some of them look terrible. Renee Young, Paige, just two that come to mind, terrible. Some of them look decent, some of them look perfect. Finn Balor, can't fault it. Hideo Itami, can't fault it. Randy Orton, can't fault it. Paige, she looks like she's had an allergic reaction to something. No, that's not, no, she's got puffed up cheeks, her eyes are kind of smushed into her face. Yeah, some of these models just don't look like themselves. And speaking of graphics, should be much better than this. If you look at Fallout 4 that's coming out, just look at all the videos we've got of Fallout 4, the promotional stuff that's coming out for that. Look how good the characters look how good the graphics look, and that's a whole immersive world. The world of WWE is much smaller than that in game, and yet they can't put all that effort into the graphics that Fallout did. I'm not a games developer, I don't know the limitations, but the way I see it, if you've got this full open world, graphics are probably going to be a bit harder due to disk space than if you've got this tiny world without open free roam and all that sort of lovely stuff. And honestly, there still isn't, and I really am not a fan of the graphics. But again, I don't play games for the graphics. So 2K, that's a small gripe from me. A lot of people have taken it to be a bit more than that, but personally, I don't play games for the graphics. So that's not really something that concerns me much. But yeah, a lot of people are bitching about it, I understand. The graphics, not that good.
Oh, what a match we have here, JR. Look at this.
The tag team champions against each other in a one-on-one matchup. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh, look out, look out.
Oh, Austin and the referee cracking heads. The referee is down. Austin is dazed.
Ah, sweet chin music. Oh, he's caught.
Austin blocks the sweet chin music. Downstairs, Stone Cold Stunner. The stunner on Michaels.
What? No referee.
Austin counting his own 3 count, but that's unofficial to say the least.
Looks like Stone Cold's going to try to revive this.
When it comes to showcase mode, what can I say? It's the 3rd year in a row where we've got this sort of thing. I don't like having to recreate historical matches scene for scene. It's annoying, it's tedious. I can just go on the WWE network, which ironically runs on the exact same console I'm using to play this game, and watch these matches. I don't want to play through Stone Cold's career to recreate his greatest moments. Last year, I didn't want to play through CM Punk versus John Cena's greatest moments. I didn't want to play through HBK versus Triple H's great moments. And in W13, I didn't want to play through the Attitude Era's greatest moments. I've seen this stuff, I've lived through this stuff, I don't want to see it again, I don't want to play through it again. It's annoying when games do this. I know I'm not the only person who says this, but please, give us original stories. WWE 12 was the last time we had original stories for a campaign mode, and it was better. I know a lot of people bitched about Road to WrestleMania mode. I liked it, the stories were a bit naff, but at least it was something different, and at least it was something I didn't really know what was going to happen the next week when, you know, Stone Cold's showcase mode, yay, it's Bret Hart versus Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13. Stone Cold's going to pass out, I know this. I know this, there's no incentive to play it because I've seen the match God knows how many times. Any decent wrestling fan has seen that match God knows how many times. Personally, I'm not a fan of this mode. Please, 2K, stop giving us this damn mode. I know I'm not the only person who thinks this. I'm pretty sure there's a consensus of WWE fans who say, yeah, I don't even bother with Showcase mode. Most people I know don't even bother with Showcase mode, and from what I've seen on the forums, most people don't want this mode either. Please, 2K, listen, we don't want to relive history. I know I'm not the only one who's saying that. Online still sucks. Now they've added this new feature, 2K Tonight, and it's basically an entire card online, which sounds like a good idea, but when you realise the fact that you can't actually set it to private, that kind of takes away the fun. I would like to have a card that I create from start to finish, championship matches, you know, whichever matches I want, you know, elimination chamber match, regular singles match, tag team match, you know, whatever, you know, whatever championships on the line I want. And I want to invite my friends, you know, 4, 5, 6 of my friends to play this mode. I don't see why we can't do that, because this sounded like an incredible missed opportunity. It sounded like it was basically, you know, GM mode just online, with the way they were talking about it. You know, this entire card online, yeah, that sounds great. Me and my friends can actually create our own shows online. You can't set it to private. Pre-match loading screen, you don't really have that anymore. You got practice mode instead, where you just beat the crap out of Adrian Neville. This has always been Adrian Neville whenever I've tried it, and honestly it takes too damn long to find an opponent. Most of the time they disconnect. I don't know whether that's because the servers are shit at the moment, and I don't know whether they're going to fix that over time. Hopefully they will, but again, that's how it is at the moment. I can't really give it a pass because of the fact that 2K, you need to sort your online servers out. I have yet to play a single game online, and honestly I've got a bad feeling it's going to be just like every other wrestling game that's ever come out, and online's going to be laggy as fuck. It's always been laggy as fuck. When you press a button, it takes 3 or 4 seconds for it to even register on screen that you've pressed that button. It's always been the case with wrestling games, and I haven't played a game online yet, so I don't know, because it keeps disconnecting me. I can't connect to anyone, so I don't know. But sort it, 2K, your online servers always suck with wrestling games. So I think I've spoken about everything I need to speak about when it comes to this game. Now it's time to give it a score, and whether or not I recommend this. I'm going to give it a score of 7.5. Better than 2K15. It's heading in the right direction. I'm enjoying the game for what it is, but they've still got a long way to go before this becomes the great wrestling game that it could be. Hopefully 2K17 will continue to make these strides. I do recommend you get this game. If you're on current gen exclusively, and you want a wrestling game, you're not going to feel like you've wasted your money. If you like simulation wrestling games, this is the game for you. If you're looking for an arcade wrestling game, this isn't the game for you. If you're after a simulation wrestling game and you want to play it on current gen, your choices are this and 2K15. Definitely get this. This is definitely an improvement on last year. I'll give it a 7.5. Hopefully 2K17 can continue the trend of wrestling games getting better. Thank you for watching. Share this on social media, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.